We're having a discussion about whose asses can fit on what couch. Please bear with us.
Gavin's like half a human, so we'll go on the tiny one.
Like quarter us.
Hi, Australia.
Wow. This crowd goes deep.
I feel like this is everyone in Australia.
Well, we're super excited to be here, and can't thank you guys enough for letting us come down here and invade for a couple days. I didn't know that this place was going to be this cool. This is an awesome facility. It seems like everywhere you go in Australia, it's like an amazing building or amazing architecture. And I think you guys must be used to it, but we're not. Coming from Texas, it's like everything is a strip mall in Austin. So this is really fun. Who got to go to the Lazer team premiere last night? We got a couple of people? Awesome. So I think we're gonna talk some about Lazer team and doing a Q&A, but for those of you up front who saw the movie, try not to spoil it for everybody else. I know that'll be hard to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if anybody is watching the Twitch live stream as well, and you have any questions about Lazer Team, you can tweet them at, I guess just tweet them at me, at Burnie. So.
Nice plug.
Yeah, you like that? I just worked that in, didn't I? I'm sure there's a hashtag I'm supposed to use, but I don't know what it is, so just tweet at me.
So, we asked you guys to see the movie. Also, one of the things we talked about last night was how many people here, raise your hand or stand up if you're back there, contributed to the Indiegogo campaign? I did. Look at that. Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
That is pretty incredible. Thank you so much for everybody who did that. I mean, the movie obviously would not have been made without you guys. And it was no surprise to us that Australia was the #1 country backing the movie.
What is that? Is that us?
Hello.
It was.
You guys beat Croatia resoundingly.
It was fairly close.
It was fairly close.
It was between Australia.
Lithuania was a close 51st.
And the UK was second, and I think it was like a margin of victory by like 5 or 6%, and that was it.
Let's just say the UK fucking hates you guys. They're pissed.
They got nothing. Yeah, they gotta go watch like a year-old version of the Hunger Games this year. That's all they get now.
Do we have? Can we play video? Eric, do you know? Can they play video?
Why would we have? Maybe better not to say until we know whether or not we can play it.
Yeah.
Because we would just hate to describe how cool the video is to you guys. That's not the same experience.
Yeah.
So first of all, why don't we introduce everybody who's up here, and we'll talk a little bit about what they did on the film. Chris, we'll start with you.
Hello, I'm Chris. So I'm one of the writers and editors, and I have a small part in the movie too, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Aaron. I'm edited the movie, and I guess my voice is in it, and my hands. So, yeah.
I think, Aaron, it's your fault that you weren't in the movie. Because I tried to put you in like 50 different scenes.
It absolutely was. And there's always something going on. And it was
you're always like, oh, my calendar's full, Matt.
Cut to
I
me
really
sleeping,
can't.
and I'm just like, oh.
But Aaron's voice does make it into as editors. Chris, Aaron, and Josh were like working on the movie for like I don't know how many months.
3, I think.
Right, and there was a lot of little small lines that get said that you hear in the background. You hear them in movies all the time, and you probably don't think about them, and they're not recorded when the movie actually happens. But like little things, like you'll be at a party scene or something, and somebody will be yelling off screen, and that was Aaron. And for the most part, I think you had like 100 or 200 lines in the movie.
Because you had to re-record those lines.
And then we tried to find them and remove them all at the final mix process.
And you didn't get all of them.
I know I didn't get nearly all of them.
I hear 1 or 2, and I'm just like, yes.
I think there might be a couple times still where you imitated Colton, and he was not happy about that.
Colton multiple times ran into me and was just like, you never imitate my voice again, please. Please never do it.
So I stopped us in the middle of doing intros. Sorry about that. So I'm Matt.
Let's wrap them up. Okay, go ahead.
We'll wrap up the intros. I'm Matt, directed the movie. I was originally cast as Adam the Champion. You can see from the physique you know, and the square jaw, that would have been a great choice.
Yeah, but then our Indiegogo campaign crossed $100, so we could
Yeah.
get somebody else to play the role.
Thanks for nothing.
I'm Burnie. I'm the most important person at Rooster Teeth. Gavin?
I'm Gavin. I play Woody, a.k.a. Helmet Boy.
I'm Michael, and I play Zach, aka the best person in the movie.
Yeah, I gotta say, Gavin probably had, I didn't say probably, he had the worst piece of equipment in the movie. The helmet was by far, watching Gavin get into that thing was a nightmare.
I think character-wise, it's the best piece of the armor. Like, it's the control. I got all the function. But as an actual real human who had to wear the helmet for 3 months, it was definitely the worst piece of the armor.
Colton had to wear shoes. He wore shoes. He was like, this isn't so bad.
The thing that was bad for Colton, though, is that we didn't have enough boots. So Colton, who plays Herman in the movie, like, he had to share his boots with his stunt double. And if you've ever put on somebody else's shoes who's been sweating in them for like 12 hours, it's not a good experience. He said it was basically a swamp every time he pulled those things on.
I think he would like take the boots off and then turn them over and dump out sweat. That's how gross it was.
You're right. Gavin, at least do it into the microphone.
Do you want to show them?
Yeah. Should we? Do we have all of them? Everything on the thing, or just the trailer? Let's play the trailer real quick. We got a trailer? Okay. Just to refresh everybody's memories of what the movie looks like.
Real quick, how long do we have for the panel?
I think we have an hour for this panel.
So we'll probably get into questions pretty quickly, I would imagine.
Yeah,
right?
we'll look at the trailer and then we'll talk. We'll get you guys some questions from you guys. Okay, so this is not the trailer, but this is still cool, so watch this. All right, cool. So now that you've seen that, I can tell you what it is. So that's Jeff Williams did the score for the movie,
and he was in that frame on the right side. He was the guy, the skinny guy with long hair, like bouncing up and down. That was Jeff Williams,
the guy the guy who looks like he came out of a '70s rock band. That's Jeff. If you guys know Jeff, because he does all the music for Ruby, and he did the music for Red vs. Blue for seasons 8 through 10. And did the score for this, and this was the first time that we've had the opportunity to actually record with a full orchestra. So I actually went up to Boston, and this is recorded in Boston with the Video Game Orchestra, which is a great group that has done recordings with, they did the score for Final Fantasy and a bunch of other video games and like just some really big stuff. So a really great group, and we got them to record the score for Lazer Team. And this was actually, that clip that you just saw was their first practice. They were sight reading the music on that, which I think sounded pretty darn good. So when you see the movie, I hope that that'll be apparent to you how much work they put into the orchestra and the presentation of everything.
And the orchestral score was one of the last stretch goals that we hit. I think it was like 3/4 of the way through the campaign we got to that one. Because we would alternate between a stretch goal that was for the movie itself, but because we knew the movie was going to take about a year to make, we also wanted to include some stretch goals for other things that people could see before the movie came out. So there was a lot of Rooster Teeth stretch goals in there as well, like, you know, special episodes of like Let's Play,
Strangerhood season 2.
Strangerhood season 2 was in there. Like little things like that. So this was a really cool one. That was a great milestone for us to be able to hit. And I think when you see the movie, you're going to love the score.
Yeah. And the soundtrack will actually be out next week, I think, when the movie, right, like either the day the movie comes out or the day after.
So, I mean, one thing that happens like with Star Wars and stuff is they like put the soundtrack out and they unintentionally put in spoilers in the titles of it, you know, like Qui-Gon's death theme and stuff like that.
We do have one song called Aliens Win. So sorry about that. Just skip over that track.
All right, do you want to take some questions now or do you want to show something else?
I think we should take some questions.
Is
And
that
if
are
we
we
can
set
find
up to do
something
that?
else to show, we will. But let's take some questions. Do we have another mic that we can pass around?
I'll do it. Let's do this. Come on. All right.
Bernie's taking charge, everybody.
Hey, what's up?
First of all, just wanted to say congratulations on the movie, guys. It's amazing. Just wondering, what advantages do you think a crowdfunded movie has over a traditionally funded movie?
What advantages does a crowdfunding movie have? Was that the question? Well, I think the biggest advantage that we had was money. No, actually, the money thing always, is like the most obvious thing, right? But really what was great about the crowdfunding was that we felt like we had 40,000 people, individuals cheering us on and saying, you got to do this. Because we talked a lot about how there's so many productions going on at Rooster Teeth that it's always seemed like it was going to be like the next thing that we got to with, doing a movie. But it was so big an undertaking, we were, having a hard time figuring out when and how we could do it. And having 40,000 people, the backers, saying, we believe in you, you can do this, and go get it done right now, was really like emotionally supercharging and inspiring. So I think that like in terms of crowdfunding anything, I think that almost has a bigger impact than the money in some ways.
I think one of the things that I'm proudest of is that, first of all, we made a movie we've been wanting to make for years and years, but I'm also proud that we had a crowdfunding campaign that we actually delivered on, which sadly is getting to be a less and less frequent thing. We hear about we talk about it on the podcast all the time. There's a crowdfunding thing, and then it's like, it just never arrives at any point in time, which is kind of sad.
My question is actually for you, Bernie.
Hey, well, okay, great. You guys can take a break.
Last night, you said that Lazer Team was that project that always kept on getting thrown back, it always kept on getting pushed back because there was other stuff that you wanted to do. The first part is, how long has it sort of been in your mind? How long has it been kept getting pushed back, and what were the reasons for that?
We have, at the company, we have pitch sessions on a regular basis, and this was a pitch session. If you've been watching Rooster Teeth for a while, this was a pitch session that we had in the old Congress office, where it was just the 7 of us over that restaurant with the big blue mural on the wall, where we first started making shorts. That's where we had a pitch session. Hey, what's up? Where we had a pitch session that was this, and Day 5 was in there as well, and then some other productions that we haven't done yet. So I'd say it's been, before we started working on it, we had the idea for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it went through a few permutations onto the way to being what it ended up being on screen. It was really just Lazer Man when we started.
If we didn't raise
we
enough
added
money,
some more people to it.
It would have been Laser Guy. Yeah.
This is just a question for all of you guys. What was the biggest hurdle in the actual movie? Was it just the funding, or during making it, or actually distributing it?
The thong. Wearing a thong almost every single day that wedged itself inches inside of you was the strongest hurdle for me. But I kind of grew to like it near the end.
My favorite thing about, speaking of being uncomfortable, was watching Burnie try and get out of his suit every day.
It's all the shoulders. You couldn't get him off the shoulders. That's the hard part.
He would look like a half-peeled banana that like strained his back, trying to be like,
We get to the end of the day and everybody's just doing this.
You could get it on super easy, but then once it like got over your shoulders, it would just lock into place. And there were days where I couldn't get out of it unless I had help. So I'd say the toughest part of it for me was, just approaching it as a movie. Gavin put it best, is that, we wanted to make the Rooster Teeth movie. We didn't want to make Rooster Teeth the movie. And so we had to walk this fine line of making a movie that our audience who watches all of our other content would like, but that wouldn't exclude people who would think there would be like a lot of inside jokes if we put those in. And for those of you that have seen the movie, there's a lot of references in the background to Rooster Teeth stuff, a lot of hidden Easter eggs in it. but there's no really direct references to Rooster Teeth really at any point in the movie, I don't think. We were really careful about walking that line. They have a mic out there running around.
Let's get somebody from way in the back. Can you run down there to somebody way in the back?
He was all set up here, and now you're making him run all the way over there.
Yeah, they have their hands up. There you go.
Hey, what was the hardest part when you're working long productions? Maybe things get a bit tense between team members on a long day. How did you guys sort of overcome that and maybe put that behind you and all that sort of stuff?
What was the hardest part about working on doing other productions at the same time?
Yeah, just the high stress between crew and team members.
And how do we put it behind us?
Just how do you get past that?
How do we put the
not let it
pain
get to
behind
you?
us? I think the hardest part was actually also an advantage, which was most of the movie was filmed at night. So, like the four of us were out every single night for 12 hours, from sundown to sun up. And then if we had other Rooster Teeth stuff to do, we would go in the morning right after our all-night shoot and do our Rooster Teeth stuff.
Yeah.
And then go and sleep for like 2 hours and then go back to the set. So,
And I gotta say, the biggest burden for that really fell on Matt, because we didn't want to stop making all the web shows that everybody watches while we made a movie for a year and then like show up after a year of no content and say, here's the movie, because we know everyone else would be gone by that point. The audience would be gone. So we made sure we could still make the content. And like this side of the stage, we were the main people who worked on the movie during the production. We were the main Rooster Teeth personalities that were there. And then everyone else here was like, after the movie was done, for the 10 months after that, this is the team that like really dedicated themselves to getting it done. Brian Beam and Josh Flanagan are two others that really worked a long time on the movie. So it's like we were really careful not to take like big chunks of people out to make Lazer Team. But I got to give a lot of credit to Matt, because Matt was there the entire way through the process.
I got to take a lot of credit.
Yeah. All while doing his CEO duties. It was
No, well, I mean, Burnie's being nice, but I mean, everybody worked really hard in the movie. These guys literally froze themselves nearly to death. They were wearing spandex suits in negative temperatures, for 35 nights in a row. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, there was that one night where after each take they would give us blankets, and then we ran over to the warm light to try and warm up. And at one point I got too close to the light and my blanket caught on fire.
Michael, it was one time he did it.
It was like 100
All right,
times.
I may
Every
have-
time.
I may have
He would
caught
just
fire
stand
several
there.
times.
He's just standing there, and there's just smoke coming off him. Like, Gavin, you're on fire. And
And
he's
I was like,
yeah,
it doesn't
but it's
matter.
Nice and warm.
It feels nice. But my favorite part of shooting at night was I learned that Burnie hates the sunrise.
I don't
Just hates it.
Yeah, like every time the sun would come up at like 7 a.m., he'd be like, God damn the sun. He's like, what do you hate the sun for?
I just hate the sunrise.
Why doesn't make any sense?
We filmed the movie at
He's
night.
been a secret vampire this whole time.
When you see the
Figure it out.
sunset,
It's like, this is why you don't like garlic. I finally figured it out.
The sunset is beautiful. If you're up when the sun is coming up, you've done something wrong in your life.
You made a movie.
You've been out way too late, you're way too drunk, and that light hits you and you're like, or...
I get that in general, but like we're on the set of the film. We just called cut, and then Burnie walks over and he's like, fucking sun's coming up. Bullshit. Like, it'll be fine.
It's my trigger.
We got somebody over here who set his hand up for a long time.
Chris and Aaron, in the post.
I didn't know you were going to ask Chris and Aaron a question. Wait, take the mic back. No,
I'm so excited.
Yeah. How was the editing process? Because was it only 3 of you? Was it you two and Josh doing the bulk
Well,
of the
Josh
editing?
isn't here, so I'm gonna say he didn't edit at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
There was also one other.
There was one other
and
editor,
then a lot of assistant editors and.
and Matt came in and then he erased everything we did and then started over. So Matt's an editor. No, it was mostly I think 3 of us and some
one
here
other
and there.
person, but I mean, it's a weird process whenever you're editing, and then you also see the people like every single day.
It's a miserable process. It's having to listen to their voices over and over again for 12 hours. That's your question?
Well, they no one had good environmental conditions during the movie, during the filming, and so I thought it would be best to keep up that spirit, during the post-production phase. So the 3 of them were crammed in a little tiny broom closet that was like where the air conditioning unit turned on, but there was no actual air conditioning in the room. Kind of like here, it just turned on really loud, and there was this giant gong mechanical noise, and then to edit through that in the heat.
We had
for-
to yell at each other whenever we,
3
you know,
months.
talk. We're only a couple feet from each other, and it's just, we're like, well, how's the edit going? 3 months.
And also, what was the hardest part to edit? What scene, without giving too much away, do you think?
What was the hardest part? The hardest scene to film?
Visually, yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, that is a tough one to say without giving too much away. There's a scene that that got cut from the movie that I know Burnie was your favorite scene, right?
It was one of the most expensive scenes, too.
It was one of the most expensive scenes.
Matt fought so hard to keep it in the movie, and then we shot it, and it was one of the hardest nights of shooting, and then the sun came up at the end. It was awful. And then Matt ends up cutting it, which totally makes sense.
It does. It's better. I mean, we're going to put it on the, we'll put it out at some point, you know, so people can see it, but it's, that was a night, it was a really brutal shoot because it was a scene we needed 2 or 3 days to film. We only had 1 day or 1 night. And Burnie got injured. Burnie's stunt double got badly injured.
Yep. Not too badly.
Yeah.
Just his head. That was it.
So it was that was rough, and I felt very protective of it. And then I think it was actually Chris that said, "Hey, you know what? This movie plays better without the scene," so I just got rid of that.
Chris cut it immediately. He was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then,
Oops.
So actually, I have a question here from Twitter from somebody who's watching the live stream. It's the Hungry Foodie. Wants to know, are there any learnings you can take from Lazer Team production and apply to other Rooster Teeth productions?
I mean, I'm gonna jump in there. I think absolutely. Just from the shorts and stuff that I've done at my time at Rooster Teeth, and then Lazer Team was by far the biggest production we've ever done. I mean, it was insane. Coming off of Lazer Team, I have seen so much of that just bleed into Rooster Teeth, where it's just been incredible. Where it's I feel like everything we film at this point now is a mini Lazer Team.
I think a concrete example of that is that if a good indication of the impact of Lazer Team on Rooster Teeth and the other productions is the Achievement Hunter podcast, the Off-Topic set, because that set was made by the art department that exists because of what we did on Lazer Team.
Yeah,
and it was
Marcus.
Marcus who designed all that and his team. So it's if not for Lazer Team, the Age podcast wouldn't have such an awesome set that
I
everybody's
like to
envious of.
sometimes I like to think, what would the off-topic podcast set look like without Marcus? It'd probably be just a ping pong table with some paper cups.
We have the TV screen in the back with the logo. It would have been a chalkboard, and I would have drawn something on it. And then there would have been one of those plastic folding poker tables. That would have been the set.
It'd basically be Ryan's old desk.
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate.
And those things are hugely motivating too, because when you see the set being built, everyone got super excited about it. Not that we weren't excited about the podcast to begin with, but it's then the set rolls out and it's everybody's walking on the set and getting beer and everything else.
Marcus, I gave him 2 suggestions. I was like, hey, can you do this and this? And he was like, I'll come up with something. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, he goes, hey, sorry, I put the taps in for the kegs, but only 2 of them work.
I know.
I was like, oh, only 2 of them?
But it's really immersion in other shows. It's you can see the impact of just the art department.
Five Nights at Freddy, if you've seen that, or The Fallout. Again, incredible. There's the production value.
Yeah, and the fact that Day 5 is finally going into production too. That's an offshoot of
It
the
is,
featured.
yeah. And a lot of the same. Actually, we shot a pilot, it's not really a pilot, but a test shoot for Day 5 before we did Lazer Team.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of assembled a lot of the crew for Lazer Team, including people like Marcus and Doreen. And then those people went on to be full-time at Rooster Teeth, and now we are getting back into production on Day 5. I think they do have that video for us.
What do they got?
Finally, this is a trailer that we haven't put online and that we just made for fun, actually for ourselves internally, but I thought you guys might want to watch it. It's just kind of fun. It has some different clips.